Research infrastructures are facilities that provide resources and services for research communities to conduct research and foster innovation. They include major scientific equipment or sets of instruments, collections, archives or scientific data, computing systems and communication networks, any other research and innovation infrastructure of a unique nature which is open to external users.
From Scandinavia to Spain, our Alternet partners are utilizing diverse and innovative research infrastructures. In the United Kingdom, the Center for Ecological Hydrology hosts the Environmental Informatics Data Center, which provides access to a wide range of national land cover, species, and hydrological datasets. Open Biomaps, a self-organizing data infrastructure used by partners at the Environmental Social Science Research Group in Hungary, provides an interface for the development of communication between different end-user communities. Recently, this data infrastructure has been used for biological data collection of Hungarian national parks, as well as citizen science projects such as public nest boxes and butterfly transects. In Sweden, the Swedish University of Agricultural Sciences is coordinating CITES, a distributed national field infrastructure for ecosystem sciences. CITES is connected to ELTER, ICOS, and thereby also to ESFRI. The Leibniz Institute of Freshwater Ecology and Inland Fisheries in Berlin is equipped with the IGB Freshwater Research and Environmental Dataset, also known as FRED, as well as the Freshwater Information Platform. NINA in Norway is associated with both GBIF and Copernicus. Specifically, NINA is involved as a Copernicus relay, meaning that researchers contribute to Copernicus efforts and use a growing amount of Earth observation technology applied to biodiversity and land ecology. They are also active users of GBIF, with GBIF serving as the final destination of part of their data, mostly through another Norwegian institute, the Norwegian Biodiversity Information Center. Upland systems are complex and dynamic. Understanding processes driving change in these systems is critical in tackling the twin climate and biodiversity crises, and forms a major focus of research at the James Hutton Institute, using a combination of experimental platforms across different habitats and long-term national databases which the Institute holds for both soils and biodiversity. One of Hutton's long-term experimental platforms, shown in this flyover, was set up to examine impacts and interactions between above and below ground processes during establishment of native forests. Scotland holds a big proportion of the world's peatland resource, a critically important store of carbon, as well as its unique biodiversity. The James Hutton Institute plays a lead role in advising the UK government on priorities for peatland restoration, including the development of a spatially explicit decision support tool. Current research includes assessing remote sensing as a means to estimate the effectiveness of peatland restoration and monitoring greenhouse gas emissions from peatlands in relation to climate change impacts and emissions mitigation potential. James Hutton Institute also features two farm-focused research platforms. Shown here is the Center for Sustainable Cropping, where research focuses on arable sustainability. Its upland farm is home to the exciting new climate-positive farming initiative, which is exploring technological and agroecological design elements for a low-carbon economy and an integrated land use approach to farming, with multiple benefits for nature and sustainable livelihoods for people. The 40-meter-high measuring tower in Braschot, Antwerp, with its scientific zone, is used by INBO for intensive forest condition monitoring, soil vegetation atmosphere transfer of nutrients, dynamic soil chemistry modeling, and measurements of greenhouse gas exchange, including ozone and carbon dioxide, between forest and atmosphere. It is an accredited site of the Altair Europe network and one of the 10 ICOS Belgium monitoring stations. As part of the Flemish contribution to LifeWatch ERIC, the Research Institute for Nature and Forest, INBO, has been building automated sensor networks since 2013. One of these sensor networks is the fish tracking network, in which acoustic telemetry is used. Until now, 16 fish species have been tagged, including the European eel. In 2020, a computer game was developed to inform the general public about the obstacles eels face during their seaward migration. The Global Change Experimental Facility is run by UFSET and is among the largest climate change experimental infrastructures focusing on consequences for different land use systems. A field experiment located in Bad Lauchstädt, it allows the investigation of the effects of future climatic conditions on ecosystem processes under different land use scenarios. Especially high temperatures and altered precipitation patterns in central Germany are simulated on 5 different land use types. The facility is equipped with 50 plots having a size of 16 by 24 meters. The long-term experiment started in 2014 and is planned to be conducted for at least 15 years. UFSET also coordinates the process to implement the Integrated European Long-Term Ecosystem Critical Zone and Socio-Ecological Research Infrastructure, Alternet. It was admitted to the roadmap of the European Strategy Forum on Research Infrastructures, ESFRI, in 2018. Altair is now promoted by a preparatory phase project to fully develop the network components, research sites from the pool available in the Long-Term Ecological Research Network Europe, the standard observations for specific site categories, as well as the governance structure and its legal implementation. The network of Altair sites will cover the full socio-environmental gradient of Europe. Alternet will comprise terrestrial, freshwater, and transitional water sites. It will allow on-site, co-located acquisition and gathering of essential variables, ranging from biophysiochemical, biodiversity, and socio-ecological data. Using a whole systems approach, ecosystem change caused by long-term pressures and short-term pulses will be investigated in a nested design across the scales covered by the Alternet site network. It's expected that the Alternet will be legally implemented by 2025 and fully functional shortly after.
We hope that our results will contribute to the development of mitigation and adaptation strategies in response to global change, and by doing so we hope to leave functional ecosystems and functional agricultural systems for the future generations.
We'll now hear from our partners at CESAM, the Center of Environmental and Marine Studies in Portugal.
Rio de Aveiro is a coastal lagoon which is part of the national network of Altair sites. It is also part of the infrastructure for information and research on biodiversity. In this coastal lagoon, which is also classified as a Natura 2000 site, different researchers from the University of Aveiro, namely the CESAM Research Center, are devoted to study the biodiversity of the lagoon.
We are focused on studying the salt marshes and seagrass meadows ecological processes and functioning, namely the blue carbon storage and nutrient dynamics occurring in these habitats. To address these goals in a long-term perspective, we need to have a good knowledge of the species and habitats distribution over time at Rio de Aveiro.
To address biodiversity in this coastal lagoon, we work at different spatial scales, starting with habitats mapping, where we also associate the ecosystem services and the biodiversity.
We are mapping these habitats using drones and aerial imagery, and this process is followed by ground truth validation.
The fishing effort in the coast, okay, all this area here. These are the ecosystem services as evaluated by the expert judgment. The long-term research and information gathered in this Altair site, Rio de Aveiro, for example, biodiversity indicators, habitat mapping, activities distribution and mapping, or ecosystem service evaluation, all this knowledge will be integrated and is part of the infrastructures for information and research for biodiversity.
This is just a sampling of the work done at a handful of Alternet's partner institutes. Environmental research infrastructures play an important role for the scientific community and society at large. Hopefully you now have a stronger understanding of the types of infrastructure facilities available through Alternet and its partner institutes. You can learn more about Alternet's partners and the work they do on our website at alterneteurope.eu.